Hey everyone, welcome to this episode of Compassion and Courage, Conversations in Healthcare. I am your host, Marcus Engel, and this is the podcast where I teach compassionate communication, provide perspective, and inspire resilience. And today I have the good fortune and the sheer luck of having in the studio with me the Hotness. Hi.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm doing really great. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Good.
You're really great? What's so great about really great?
It's a new day, man, and I got to sleep in this morning a little bit.
You did get to sleep in this morning. That's a not always a rare occurrence, but it can be. It can be.
But it's
a
always
rare
delicious
occurrence.
when it happens.
Yeah.
And you know what? I have to tell you what happened this morning. Because when you live with labs, anybody live with labs? You live with labs. Mornings are a luxury. Labs are morning creatures, you know?
Labs are driven by food, so as soon as they wake up, they want food, yeah.
They love mornings, and maybe all dogs do. I don't know. My little schnoodle is like wired like me. She will sleep in as late as I want to. But labs, I had almost a little throwback this morning because your previous labs were really, really intent at this. But do you ever try to trick your dog?
Yes. Yes, but I don't know in what respect you're talking about. But yes, I do try to trick my dog.
With mornings, you have to trick a lab if you want any kind of sleep. And Elliott, not so much, but your first dogs that I lived with were Carson and Garrett. And you had to trick them in the mornings because if they got any kind of just a whiff of an idea that you were awake, they were right in your face. And if you had, I'm a side sleeper, if you have your front to the side of the bed, their little cold nose was right in your face going, wake up, I want to go outside, and play, and mostly I want breakfast. So they would have their cold, wet nose right all over you. And heaven forbid your back was to the edge of the bed because it was nose on your spine, rubbing up and down your spine like a xylophone.
A cold nose on a bare back when you're not expecting it, I can attest, is a rather shocking
when you don't
feeling.
Want to get up.
Yeah.
And so many mornings I would like hold the call of nature so that I would not have to deal with telling them, no, I don't want to get up and give you breakfast because it was not worth it. I would just sit there and go, I don't have to pee, Marvelyne, you don't have to pee, to avoid cracking my eyelid open because I knew once that eyelid came open, it was going to be cold nose on my back, up and down, up and down, up and down.
If the dog is awake, the people are going to be awake.
The people are awake.
But you had such a sweet relationship. Everybody asks that question, with my seeing eye dogs. Well, does your dog also like everybody in your family? Well, yeah, he's a lab. He likes everybody. And I say he because all of my labs have been male. And every lab has every dog has their own relationship with other people in the house. It's not like Elliott is solely my dog, and I am the only person who takes care of him because you certainly take him out, and you have your own relationship with him. And so with Garrett, I definitely remember while we were living in New York, if Garrett, the few times he got sick in the night, he didn't come to me to wake me up. He went to you.
He did, and it always did. It was always so sweet to me because truly, I don't care for your dogs. You're definitely the master, and And
by don't care for my dogs, you mean that you don't brush them and feed them and do their care, as opposed to you don't like my dogs.
I love your dogs, right?
Okay.
but you're the primary caretaker of your dogs by a long shot. But when they would labs tend to eat anything in sight, so occasionally during the night they want to get rid of whatever weird thing they have eaten. So they would, the first two would especially come and wake me up when it was time to puke. So, so yeah, it really was sweet. And they would come and I would hold their ears back while they.
And you'd hold their ears back like girls in college holding each other's hair. I guess guys in college, whatever. But Yeah, it's interesting the relationships that we form with the animals, and who do they go to when they need what certain thing. It always surprises me whenever I wake up in the morning and you tell me, yeah, Elliott got me up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go outside to pee. He did? I didn't even know. He slept through it. I slept through it. So I don't know if he tried with me and failed and then came and got you.
Or I'm just a really light sleeper.
It might be that you're a light sleeper, but I'm so glad that at least with my dogs, they're not robots, right? They're living ascension beings, and they have relationships. That's why we love our animals. That's why we love our pets. And so I'm really glad that my dogs have that relationship with you, and I'm glad that you always take care of them like they were your own.
It's always fun when people want to know about your dogs because they are different than just a pet. They do have special skills or special training rather. And it's always fun and interesting. It's been interesting for me living with you to get to see the different personalities side by side of some of your dogs. And we always gave, special nicknames to each dog as you brought them home and waiting to see their personality revealed. And we talk about that in one of your books specifically. We talk about, I think you call it my three sons or my four dogs or something like that.
I do remember.
But getting to know each dog and their special games that they like, because they ended up liking very different interactions, even though they're labs, even though they have the same skill set or training set, they still respond very differently.
Yeah, absolutely. My first two, Dasher, who you never met, but Dasher and Carson just loved to fetch, just love to fetch all day long. Garrett, Elliott, they could care less about retrieving anything. They would not make very good duck dogs. They would not make very good hunting dogs at all, but they may have made great CNI dogs. And just seeing their different, what are the things that make this dog who he or she is, right? It's I don't want to use their personality, but it is a personality because we don't have a better word for that. A doganality? Doganality.
Right. And we had one that loved gum, to eat gum off the bottom of chairs.
Yeah, that's disgusting and gross. You don't really need to bring that up.
But it was so hilarious. It was so funny. Sorry.
And I just always loved that Marvelyne, being the compassionate person that you are, you would know what each dog would need. And I remember a few times coming in from long trips, flying from the West Coast, get into the house at 2 o'clock in the morning, and next thing I know, you're out in the backyard playing with the dog, because apparently on that flight, you were the dog whisperer and bent down and told the dog, hey, I know that this is a long flight, and when you get home, you're going to get to run around the backyard. And taking care of the dogs that need that and understanding their needs and supplying those needs, it's one of those compassionate elements of your personality that is the reason that I am a lucky guy to have you, and my dogs are too.
Well, thank you for that. I think that's a part of compassion that we can miss if we don't be intentional about that, though. On a kind of a more serious note, people are very much the same thing that's compassionate for one person may not actually be compassionate for the next person, because some people don't want you to sit and kind of get down with them and be a little, some people need a joke, some people need you to respond differently, and the only way to know that is how.
Being intentional, being present in the moment, being aware. And whenever you're saying that, it reminds me of the chapter in one of the books. I don't remember which book it's in, but I talk about the nurse who nicknamed me Meat Hooks. And she gave me that nickname because she would start. She had to start IVs on me, and she would say, "Marcus, you've got these hands that are like big meat hooks. You could hang a side of beef off of your hands." Now, if you go and give that nickname to, say, somebody who's not an 18-year-old college guy.
If you named me that.
If you name a female, or let's say somebody who's elderly, they may not appreciate that so much. And that nickname was given to me by a nurse who was intentional in the moment and aware that, look, this is not an elderly patient. This is somebody that I need, that needs me to highlight his strength, not anything else. And I so appreciated that nurse because of that compassionate nickname. I always say that nicknames are usually given to us by one of two people who love us or people that hate us. And I feel like the more that especially those who are at the bedside can give their patients maybe a nickname, or even something that will make that patient know that care is personal. It's not the same that's given to every other patient. There's a bond, there's a relationship there between caregiver and patient that is unique and special and should be appreciated. So, being in that moment. So I want to encourage all of our listeners to take time to be in the moment, to be present, maybe to lay that phone face down on our desks or on our lap. Ouch.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Do you feel attacked?
No. I know that's something I don't always do. I have to be intentional sometimes because habits, man, you get in a habit.
You're right. Phones are our way of life these days, and
yes.
and yet we do need to put them face down for a time and really be intentional to just be in this moment, not jumping from the next emergency to the next emergency, or the next crisis or drama into the next. So let's all try to take that time to remember to stop, to be still, to be aware of the suffering of others, to put ourselves into their shoes and feel what they might feel. And remember that all of us, no matter who we are as human beings, compassion is what we are wired to do and to give, to be with other human beings. That is what we are supposed to do. That is natural. So I want to thank you, the Hotness, for being with me today. Do you have any final closing comments you'd like before we wrap up?
Thanks for letting me be here. Thanks for letting me share your dogs with you. I appreciate it.
Thank you for always taking care of my dogs like they would have been your own, and respecting the unique relationship that I have with each of my dogs. That's an interesting position to be in, to have a service dog, a specially trained dog in your home that you have a relationship with, but ultimately is not yours. So it's a unique balance, and you perform it beautifully. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So thank you all so much for being part of this episode of Compassion and Courage, Conversations in Healthcare. I'm Marcus Engel. I'm your host. And please remember, if you like our content, if you want to hear more stories, if you want to hear some more narratives about compassion, obviously about courage, about caregiving, and being human, please remember to share, subscribe, like, all those kind of good social media things, and we'll try to keep putting out some good content for you. Thank you again for being with me, for being with us for this episode of Compassion and Courage, Conversations in Healthcare.